Hi everyone, Shabbat Shalom. I hope you're all doing as well as can be expected with everything that's going on. Um, it's hard to be talking about Torah or whatever when all these things are going on, but there's some crazy things that are in this week's parsha that are kind of connected to what's happening. So immediately after last week's parsha, which was Bereshit, we had this sentence talking about that this is the land of the Jewish people. If anyone ever doubts it, we can point to this beginning of the Torah, Bereshit bara Elokim, in the beginning God created. And this week, the word Hamas is used. So interestingly enough, at the very beginning of this week's parsha, which is Noach, story of Noah, we have the word Hamas used twice, and it's translated as robbery. So right here, now the earth was corrupt before God, and the earth became full of robbery. Yeah, the world became full of robbery. Okay, then again, we have it here. Um, and God said to Noah, the end of all flesh has come before me, for the earth has become full of robbery because of them. Behold, I am destroying them from the earth. So the word Hamas is being used to defined as robbery, but how it's also defined is as violence, which is just coincidental. I don't know what Hamas means in Arabic, but I'm sure the word is connected in some way. But the word translated in Hebrew, it's spelled differently in Hebrew if we're talking about the terrorist organization. But this word Hamas being used, very unusual word, and it's in this week's parsha. It's so strange. It's like Hashem was picking which week was going to give us the most chizuk, the most encouragement. Because last week we're convinced this is the land of Israel. No one can stand before us. No one can take the land of Israel from us. And this week we're talking about Hamas as an organization. It's so weird, and it's too crazy to not be divine. And there's more on this we could talk about in regard to that God only has so much control over the world, that we have free will. It's the greatest gift we've ever been given. It allows us to have the power to create. It allows us to do good things just because we want to do good things, not because we're forced to. We're not angels. We're not perfect. And when we succeed, when we are kind, it means so much more because we have free will. And that also allows for terrible, horrible, sickening things to happen when the world is not being how it should be. The world's not being connecting itself in a good way. But the reason that I bring this up is because this word about robbery and terror and this whole parsha Noach is about God seeing that the world is not good and deciding to start all over. And honestly, I feel like the world needs to be started over. I don't know if I'm not saying Moshiach is coming imminently, that we're going to start from scratch, but I am saying that I hope that the world is going to have a whole reboot. I hope that our education system, these universities that have been absolute breeding grounds for anti-Semitism and true misinformation, these places of higher education that have not been effective, that have just totally invalidated the truth, have become very unsafe spaces for Jews. All those places need to be absolutely uprooted from the ground and completely fixed and turned around. And that's again what Hashem wanted to do with the world when it had become so bad. And the world has to reach a really, really bad point for God to decide to start over. And so if it's any solace that the world must have been worse because God started it over, that this is not the worst that it can get. We should be grateful that things are the way they are, I guess. I know it was just announced that there were two hostages that were released. Apparently, it's a mother and a daughter who are American, from Chicago, and they were released because the mother is not well. And it's a start. Two people. It's two people. Each person is a universe. Each person that is saved is such a miracle, and we should be so grateful for. But it's a start. It's not it. But it is good news to go into Shabbat with. And then just the normal stuff about the parsha of Noach. The thing that Noach is known for is that he was not able to convince anyone to come on the ark with him and his family. The ark was up at his house because he's building this huge Walmart warehouse sized ark, and was not able to convince anyone to ever join him and his family. And so people criticize him for being a tzaddik im peltz, a righteous man in a fur coat, which alternatively being a righteous man who lights a fire. So if you're a truly righteous man, you would light a fire and let everyone be warm with you. But if you're a righteous man in a fur coat, you just get warm for yourself. You're not so community minded like we would have liked Noach to be. So that's another thought, that Noach wasn't able to convince anyone to come on the ark. Maybe the world was so bad they weren't even open to it. Maybe they just decried him. Maybe he tried and they didn't listen to him. And it just honestly is kind of triggering. I've spent a lot of my week trying to convince people of the truth about Israel, and it's I was so critical of Noach in previous years of like not being able to convince anyone that the world was going to end and that these people should come with him and his family. But now I have a little more sympathy for him because there reaches a point where you can't. It's becomes too difficult. So I have a new appreciation for this tzaddik im peltz, this righteous man in a fur coat, because sometimes you got to do you. Sometimes you got to protect yourself, and you need to be the one in the fur coat. If people won't allow you to light that fire and keep them warm too. So that's what I'm thinking about this week. There's so much more in this parsha of Noach, but I'll leave it at that and just hoping that we have a Shabbat Shalom, and God willing, I'll see you all next week.